Flashbacks of traumatic events I can never forget, yet still barely remember. I painfully insist that I try to live life to my own accord, yet everything goes back to how my first news was the umbilical cord. And the guilt of not being a good daughter pierces through my heart as though with a sword.
हरेक बुधबार साँझ 6 बजेदेखि मात्र ब्राभो क्याफे एन्ड बारमा.
Hello everyone, it's great to be back here. I'll be reciting 3 of my poems. The title of the first one is Asunder. I sit here in the dark and cold, shaking, the moon is left asunder. A cigarette in my hand, some violence in my heart, and a life of irreversible blunders. An aching gut, my trembling lips, to the lonely December sky, I surrender. Flashbacks of traumatic events I can never forget, yet still barely remember. I painfully insist that I try to live life to my own accord, yet everything goes back to how my first news was the umbilical cord. And the guilt of not being a good daughter pierces through my heart as though with a sword. The screaming voices in my head, ever so stimulating that I am in fact bored. I promptly try to escape, a bottle in my hand and a stranger on my bed. Destructive rage and devastating sadness. Do I love him or do I want him dead? He brushes the hair off my face and whispers, "My love, you're sick in the head." I leave him little trinkets of pain and rot and ashes and a dying rose in my stead. I hold open the door for her. She puts my chivalry to the test. After all, tender hearts deserve soft epilogues, warmth and rest. But how can I, even as I'm on one knee offering her wildflowers, believe in affection at best, when my own parents, the supposed role models of marriage, sleep in separate beds? I melt into heavy nothingness, in the pits of inferno, and they make my life a living hell. In overheard talks of my academic potential, I've rarely seen their hearts swell. But how can I ever stay mad at them, though in this comforting darkness I dwell? When my mom makes me dinner and my dad makes my bed, these things I never tell. I sheathe my heart with my pain, and I wear my hurt like a flowing cape. Because one learns these little tricks when their cries for help are enough times taped. So I maintain that I shall exact revenge upon existence itself. The goosebumps rise up to my nape. Tie your boots, put on your misery like a mantle, and soldier on, Achilles, for there is no escape. There is no escape. Thank you. The second one is titled Rot and Decay. The acid rain down my throat, the anxiety stored in my gut. I convulse in pain. The watchful eyes of my terrifying angel. Conduct, competence, character, she yells. I never heed to her, for she doesn't take into account the mountains of sorrows that I have slayed. Eyes cast down in disappointment, crying tears of blood. She watches me rot, she watches me decay, she watches me decay. Cold and numb myself, I carry the carcass of my past self as I walk down the street. This incomprehensible individualism and perplexing pain. For all you know, I have the God beat. I maintain that I don't care for him any more than he does for me. Dead inside, a ghost of all I dreamt to be. Yet why does my heart still beat? I tear myself limb to limb, pull out my hair strand to strand. I scream into the void, do you finally see? Do you finally understand? She looks at me aghast and extends a trembling, corroding hand. I let the rod sit on the tip of my tongue for a little too long. My palate is all but bland. I crush my hopes under the heavy heels of criticism, the faith in my suffering ever so sublime. An unsightly, Kafkaesque creature, I lick the blood off my wrists and smile. I would have bested God if it weren't for this misery, though I believe I still can. He looks at me with terror as I grab the cosmos by the throat. You made me who I am. Are you afraid of what I am? So we're at my last poem, and it's titled as Apathy. I happened to write it after a really intense bout of anxiety. It was around the time frame when I was experiencing all the existential angst you could possibly imagine, and a certain degree of identity crisis as well. So here goes. I sit here trembling, unable to breathe. I've forgotten how to breathe. Quietly quivering and fighting back tears, I rage, I seethe, I rage, I seethe. A crowd of people, and I'm evidently invisible. Someone please help me, but will you please just let me be? And God does nothing but lean back in his chair, indifferently sipping his lukewarm tea. These convoluted cognitive conclusions concur with convulsive and cogly conundrums. Amidst humming, hawing humanness, murmuring monotonies, and drudgery-ridden humdrums, I exist in needless complexities and abstract nonsense. They sustain me, I ever so softly maintain. Traded in, being understood for rigid metaphors only a few care to make sense of. A good bargain, never you mind the numbing, excruciating emotional pain. And God does nothing but look back at his faint reflection in the puddle, his face giving away neither a hint of delight nor the slightest bit of disdain. For fueled by an eclectic, peculiar set of tragedies, there inevitably comes a point in every man's life whereupon he stops dead in his tracks with the horrifying realization, dear God, my dad was right. Persistently and perpetually less of the daughter my mom always wished for, and more of the son that my dad could only ever, yet never, hope for. A predicament oh so strife. Even if it kills me, even if I shall meet my very end through the seemingly innate nature of giving, I am but my dad's son. I will still choose to be kind. I will still choose to be kind, a forlorn whisper in a dark, stormy, cloudy night. Even if I am forsaken by the entire human race, even if I am forsaken by the entire human race, I will still choose to be kind. And alas, God does nothing but well up in my eyes, and in his awkwardly graceful manner trickle down my face. God trickles down my face. Thank you. Thank you so much.
हरेक बुधबार साँझ 6 बजेदेखि मात्र ब्राभो क्याफे एन्ड बारमा